Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today we'll be doing topic number 2.1, that is the nature of culture. And so sorry guys, I wasn't able to put up any videos because there was some problem in my laptop, but now we are back. And guys, we have finished till 1.3 and 1.4 to 1.8 will finish this topic after finishing sociocultural part of anthropology. Okay, so don't worry, we'll be doing that too. And one more thing guys, these topics are real lengthy topics in anthropology, and I'll try to finish them as fast as possible. So that means that everything I will not be going in detail, and so you guys have to do the work to check out the link that I have provided in the description and refer to them, or you can read the books that you guys already know about. And otherwise some of you guys must have taken like coaching or somewhere. Okay, so you guys have to read after this lecture of mine. Okay, that's one thing I'm telling you. So let's start with this. Okay, so guys, in the nature of culture, uh, first topic is the concept and the characteristics of culture. Okay, culture is a word that we use in our daily life. As you know, guys, we already use this word. Like some person he comes from a different background, different culture. Has a different culture. There we have like old school music that is part of our culture. Okay, that is very generalistic point of view of seeing thing in culture. Okay, but for anthropologists and sociologists, the word culture is much broader. Okay, it's not only limited to these general views that we general things that we use culture for. Okay, it is for them, it is a universal thing. Okay, every society has culture. It is the basis of life. It is because of culture that we have been able to evolve. Okay, biologically as well. But culture and biology, they both have worked together to evolve human society. Okay, human being. We have evolved because of both of these. Okay, and it rests on biology, but it's not biological. What does it mean? That it means that we like culture is dependent on us, that is biological. Like if we humans don't int- transmit, I mean transfer, or we transmit this culture to our next generation, culture would be, it will die. Okay, so that means that it depends on us. It depends on biology, but it's not biological because it is not genetically that is transmitted. We culture is learned part. Okay, we have to learn the culture. It is not genetically that gets transferred. After that, first, what is the nature of culture? It is, I have given some points. So historically created, designed for living. Okay, culture is not something that we have created in recent past. It's been in human society from very long time. Okay, very long time. Like since discovery of fire or before that, culture was there. Okay, it is unique to human species. Okay, that is really, these points are really important, guys. Capacity, because we humans have capacity to create and use language and symbols which are unique to humans. Okay, language and making tools, it is unique to us. Okay, in and that is why we humans have culture. But for rest of the animal kingdom, they don't have culture. But some of them, like chimpanzees, have proto culture, or we can say subculture, as some of them show some tool making ability. Like you must have watched some of the videos on Animal Planet or something, like a chimpanzee using a stick to uh, pull out some ants that stick to the stick and then eating them and something like that. And also uh, some monkeys use a rock or something to open the shell of coconut. Okay, these things they show, and that's why they have protoculture. We say it's protoculture. It's non-genetic. That, like I explained it already, culture is not genetically transmitted. It is learned. Okay, our next generation, we parents teach their kids the culture after they get like little bit older, they learn it from society and their friends and peers, etc. It's unity and diversity. Culture is product of social learning. Okay, it's a part of social learning. Unity, what does it mean? That all humans have culture, because that's why it's called culture is culture shows unity. We all have that. Okay, but why diversity? Because different groups of humans have different culture. That's why there's a diversity. Okay, let's see how the culture emerged. Okay, emergence of culture. There are some biological factors. First, bipedalism in human beings. Bipedalism is walking on two legs, right? Okay, this is walking on two legs. Then we have erect posture, that is we straight upright, and then we have largest brain in proportion to human body size. Okay, in the animal kingdom, we have the largest brain in proportion to the body size. Then we have replacement of claws with the nails. We have nails, like you can see some chimpanzees have uh, claws, kind of nail, but they are much more like claws. And okay, and we have opposability in our thumb and fingers, like our fingers work in opposite to our thumb. You can try it yourself. That's how we are able to hold things. Okay, these all factors are responsible for emergence of culture. These are biological factors, and there are some more factors. And let's see ecological factors. How ecology helped us to have culture. Okay, as you know, guys, in Mesolithic culture, we like there was warmer climate and there was melting of ice. Okay, soon there will be origin of aquatic bodies like lakes and rivers were formed as ice was melting. Afterwards, people started to live around banks of the river and lakes. They started hunting fishes and birds, and they sooner after that there was some emergence of microliths, like they were using some small rocks or something to catch or kill a bird or something, or a fish or something. So that's how ecology helped in culture formation, emergence of culture. Let's see some of the social factors. Okay, as we have said that discovery of fire, emergence of tool like fire discovery, and emergence of tool. Then we had like cooked food. We started eating cooked food, yeah. After having fire, we started cooking our food. Before that, we were used to eat the raw meat. Okay, after and having emergence of tools like knife or something like that, sharp tools, we started dividing the food in small pieces. And then which led to change in canine shape. Okay, as you can see, these are like old canines that we used to have in our very beginning. Then they became like smaller and smaller as we did not rely on that, and we had like cooked food, so there was no need of them. And now we have like, actually this is, yeah, now we don't have like canines that are sharp and pointed coming out. So, okay, that's how social factors influence emergence of culture. Let's just see some of the definition that has been given by some of the prominent scholars. First one is E.B. Tyler, a complex whole which includes knowledge, belief, art, moral, law, custom, and any other capabilities acquired by man as a member of society. Okay, these definition, guys, you have to learn it by heart, and you have to use them in your answers. Okay. After that, Malinowski, handiwork of man and the medium through which he achieves his ends. Harkowitz said man made part of environment. So it's quite clear that culture is part of, like, man has created it. It is creation of man around its environment, and that's why it varies from environment to environment, that is place to place, culture varies. Okay, after this we have some characteristics. These are, okay, some of the characteristics of culture. First one is learned. So culture, this is, as I've told you, this is learned. We learn the culture through social institutions like family, okay, family ho gaya, like political institution, economy. These all things tend to teach us culture. We somehow learn them because of them. Schools, peer group, everything comes in social institution, guys. Okay, and it's not biologically transmitted. We do not transmit that. Inculcated by parents. They teach us various lessons of survival to their children. Its third one is social. It can be learned only in society. That is, it's a group phenomena. We cannot learn culture in isolation. Okay, if we leave some person in a barren island or something, they will not have any culture. Okay, as you can see, like some of the primitive tribes that are living in uh, Andaman or somewhere, they guys are like 60,000. They are following the culture that is around 60,000 year old. Okay, that's how long they are following the same culture. They don't have any new development because they don't have any interaction with other beings. Okay, adaptive. It enables people to adapt and survive in a given environment. Okay, yeah, definitely. Culture helps us. That's how we humans have been living from so long and evolving as well. It's gratifying in nature. As culture is problem solving mechanism, it solves our problem. That's why it satisfies man and its needs. Structured. It has a definite structure. There are traits and complexes. They are So sixth one is structured. It has a definite structure, that is traits and complexes. So basically, guys, traits and complexes are like alphabets. Traits are alphabets and complexes are words. So it has a definite structure. Like every word that we use has a definite structure. Now we cannot alter the word or alphabets. It will become a different thing. Similarly, culture is also a structured thing. Ideational, shared notion of norms and knowledge. Then we have like integrative tendency of mutual adjustment among various cultural elements. Like we make some adjustment within our like some adjustment in our cultural elements. With if we interact with some other people, we make some adjustment, right? If we are meeting with a person from like we say North America or something, they have different culture and we interact. There is some exchange of culture, and that's how adjustment we have adjustment. Okay, culture is dynamic as well static. Okay, how culture is dynamic and static. Static, you can see temples, rituals. These things are going on from thousands of years. Okay, that's how it's static. But the other traits and complexity that existed earlier, they aren't existing now, hence it's dynamic too. Like we used to have uh, we can say things we did in past, but we are not doing it today. Okay, basic example is we used to have like cassettes to listen to the music, but we don't have them now. We only download it from the YouTube or somewhere else and we listen to it. That's how it has evolved. Okay, that's how culture is dynamic. Let's see the attributes, which basically means different qualities of culture. Overtness and covertness. This is from an observer's point of view. Guys, these things are not that important. Just remember the word and its meaning. Overtness and covertness. These are from observer's point of view. Like an anthropologist is going to a society and he is observing a society. Okay, so that's from his point of view. We'll say overtness and covertness. And overt in overtness means which is easily detectable qualities of culture. Example, material culture. Basically you can see some of part of culture like pot making, uh, artifacts, utensils, etc. These are like material thing and you can easily observe, see them. But covertness is something which we cannot see, but we have to be around it so we can feel it. Okay, it's kind of emotional or belief and value system that we cannot see. We cannot see that, right? We have just can observe them. Next one is explicit and implicit. It's from the people's own point of view. Like we are a part of Indian society and we have a culture. We follow cultural practices, but we all don't know about every culture that we follow. Okay, so some culture that we know of are called implicit. Okay, and other one is called explicit. No, sorry, I just reverse it. Explicit that we all know it, implicit that we don't know it. Okay, but it exists. Next one is ideality and reality. So how people say ideality is basically how people say that you should behave in a particular situation, that you should be really kind if you see some mishappening, you should go and uh, show some courage and stop that misdeed or something. But in actuality, those people, they themselves don't do this. Okay, okay, they don't prefer to do that. They only say it, but they themselves don't do that. So that is how ideality and reality is. Next is ethos and idios. Okay, basically ethos are emotional experiences like thoughts, belief system, etc. Whereas idios refers to the formal appearance derived from its constituents. Okay, guys. Next one is organic and super organic. Culture is biological in nature, as it we pass it from generation to generation. Without human, there will be no culture. Okay, once, okay, like we eat, speak, etc. comes under organic. And if we learn about super organic, what is it? Once culture is created, culture if once culture is created, it exists on level above individual who created it. That is, it will exist, prolong the person who created it. The person will die after say 80, 90 years, but culture will carry on. Okay, this phenomena it was given by like Kroeber. He was an anthropologist. Then we have universal and uniqueness. Okay, culture exists everywhere and everyone has unique culture. That's attributes. Okay, let's see the functions of culture. It makes a man a social animal, social human, or we can say. Okay, without culture we don't have any society. We'll not be having any society. That's how we'll not be able to differentiate ourselves from animals. Okay, it provides solutions in complicated situation. Like we have some problem, we like we have recently, you guys know about that there have been some scarcity of water in like Himachal Pradesh, and also in there's groundwater declining everywhere in northern belt. Okay, so we can use some culture, we can like use some cultural practices like say water harvesting and all that exists in a particular society, and that's how culture solves our problems. It provides traditional interpretation to certain situation. It's There's nothing to explain, guys. Some things that need traditional explanation, we can use culture for that. Keep social relationship intact. It broadens the vision of individual. Like we can, like globalization basically. We see culture of people from like thousands of kilometers away. Okay, we can there feel their or know their culture. It creates and satisfies new needs. Components of culture. Okay, guys, this topic is really important. Components of culture. There was a question before also. It was like components of culture are vast and varied. Explain this statement, something like that. Okay, so listen to this one carefully. Components of culture. E.B. Taylor defined culture as a complex whole which includes knowledge, belief, art, moral, law, custom, and any other capability acquired by man as a member of society. Okay, so if we see some of the components of culture, these can be endless. You can put anything here. Okay, that you think is a part of culture, and everything and most of the things are part of culture. Values. These are the beliefs and ideals shared by people of a society for which they have great respect and regard. These are just one liner I've given. You can just have to expand. You have to expand them, and for that you have to read what sources I've given in the description. Okay. Language and symbols. Man is a social animal and needs to communicate with others, and language is used as a means to communicate with people. Myth. These are the legendary folk tales and stories that describe events and occurrences, and they teach values to society. Okay, example Ramayana and Mahabharata. These are epics. Okay, myths. We and these stories tell us good values that we should be following. Okay, ritual. These are prescribed processes and procedure for conduct of religious and social rites. Okay, rituals are something like that. When we do a puja or havan, something like that, we have fixed rituals that we have to practice. Okay, laws. These are principles, rules, and regulations that are formulated and sanctioned by an authority. Customs. These are habitual practices that formulates the established way of doing things and reflects culturally accepted patterns of behavior. Okay, these things can be endless, guys. You can like expand it, and you can add whatever you want. Just give an explanation to that. Cultural relativism and ethnocentrism, guys. We have already done this before. So, cultural relativism is a value in anthropology that is in polar opposition to the idea of ethnocentrism. This principle was advocated by Franz Boas. Okay, so you listen to me. Ethnocentrism, something like that. When you, when we have a belief that our culture is superior to others, okay, we do not, we treat other culture as inferior to us. We think that we are only following, our culture is very pure and whatnot, and others they don't have culture. But what cultural relativism tells us that this when we are looking at someone's culture, we have to understand that things when their culture was developed, their environment and problem was different than what was situation for us. Okay, that's how we have different culture. Like in Middle East or something, have mostly desert areas, and so their problem will be different from like we say Indian society, and that's why they have different culture, and that's why we have different culture. But we cannot say that their practice is wrong, the cultural practices are wrong, because you can see that in Middle East they don't have much of the vegetables and all. That's why they follow like they have a diet that is non-vegetarian, whereas in Indian society we have immense forest and what vegetables and space for agriculture, that we don't have to rely on non-vegetarian products, and we have only vegetarian. We were a vegetarian society. But that's how culture is different, because their problem and our problem was different. Okay, so use definitions that is given by anthropologists, like culture is a man-made part of environment said by Herkovitz. Every environment and needs vary from place to place or from society to society. Thus, every culture is valid in its own merit, or there is no superior or inferior culture. Basically, just simple thing. You guys have to read what I've just. You must have understood what I've said in culturalism and ethnocentrism, and for that you can also read. Check out the description and read a material for much more holistic understanding. Culture and civilization. A.W. Green, a culture becomes civil. He said that a culture becomes civilization only when it possesses written language, science, philosophy, as specialized division of labor and a complex technology and political system. Okay, guys, this definition is a little hard to remember, but there's no option other than remembering it. Okay, so there is some difference in culture and civilization. Definitely, there is some difference. So culture is basically a non-material. We can say the culture is, when comparing to civilization, culture is a non-material thing. Okay, whereas civilization is a material aspect. Culture is evolved, and it becomes when culture evolves, it becomes a civilization. Culture, we have ideals, values, mental and emotional aspect of a group. They can't be superior or inferior. Culture can be superior or inferior, as we have read in cultural relativism. Culture is not borrowed. Okay, we have evolved it. We cannot borrow it. Someone, and we cannot borrow a culture from a place like we can say China. We cannot borrow it. Okay, we can have some elements of it. We cannot borrow it completely. But in civilization, there is a precise standard of measurement. They are always advancing. Civilization is borrowed, like we have Western civilization elements. We are starting to have that. House, spots, means of convenience, these are elements of civilization. Okay, MacIver, he said that there is like he gave superior and inferior. He talked about superior and inferior part of culture. Civilization advances in unilinear and cumulative manner. Okay, civilization goes on, but doesn't mean that culture will also go in unilinear manner. It may be evolved positively or negatively. Both are possible in case of culture. Civilization is passed on without effort. Like we can adopt any of civilization that we like of, but not culture. Culture is difficult to adopt. The works of civilization can be improved by anyone. Okay, we can, a person, like he discovers something, and he can like it can becomes a part of civilization. But for culture, it needs to be a have a majority. It needs to have some consensus behind it to be part of become a part of society. The works of civilization can okay, we have done that. Civilization is external and mechanical. Okay, we can see the civilization and it is mechanical in nature. Civilization borrowed, as we have already talked about. However, culture and civilization will hardly exist apart from each other. The two are not only interdependent but also interactive. Civilization is like a body and culture is like a soul. They both go hand in hand. Okay, guys. Enculturation and acculturation, transculturation. So, guys, this topic I don't know whether we have to do this, but there was some question, but uh, that there was some question in UPSC that were asked, but that was long time ago. So I don't know that will be asked again or not. But you can read it simply from a link that I have provided here. It's simple topic, nothing different. There's nothing. It's not that hard to learn about this topic. Read some of the definition for these. Okay. It's